So obviously you've seen bits and pieces, you've seen different areas of the shop, and you probably got a pretty good idea of how it's laid out, but I figured I'd do one video to show it all. So right now we're at the computer area, which is where I do some editing and things. Wall, the desktop computer here, all my layouts. You've seen the PC build, hopefully. That was a pretty fun video. But all my other stuff, cameras and all that stuff. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm gonna keep trying to update that. Next up, just a storage cabinet. There's not a whole lot in here, just 3D filament resin storage. You're kind of supposed to keep that out of the sunlight and lighting and stuff, even though it's in black containers, but I just put them in there. And it's a super cheap one. I've had this thing for before I even started retrofitting, so don't hate me. And then yeah, some other random stuff. A couple halos and bags and alcohol and stuff. Rubbing, not drinking. Gloves on top and peanut butter. You can never have too much peanut butter, so I like the peanut butter. Next up, this is kind of like the photo area. I used to have a photo booth, but lights are kind of hard to fit in a photo booth. I did the photo booth for years and I kind of made it work, like staggering them and stuff, and it sort of worked. It helped with lighting. But if you get a better camera, it doesn't seem like you really need a photo booth. You can get pretty good lighting with just a decent backdrop. And I use Photo Room. It's definitely worth checking out. And I've got an Adobe Suite license. Photo Room's better. It's fast, it's efficient, it's better than Adobe AI at removing the background. That's how good it is. So definitely check that out. I'm gonna move over into the corner here where I have some storage. Now, storage has been definitely a challenge. There has been a lot that I've had to work around, and trying to get as much of it in as I can so that I can easily grab things, pick them, ship them same day is my goal. That's what I try to do. So having it laid out really well is really important. So instead of a 3-hour day of filling orders, it can be something more like a half hour to an hour, just by making everything more efficient. When I used to work in research and development, we did some things called 5S, and it was basically you would go through your work area and you would do everything to make it as efficient as possible. So I'm fortunate enough that in my previous life, I had some experience with that. So yeah, whole bunch of stuff there. You can see on my ghost controller. These are the ones I haven't tested yet, and the ones I have tested in there. So remember, if you get a ghost controller from me, it has been tested before it shipped out. Now, that doesn't mean that you will not have a problem, but it's pretty low chances with Next Level Neo. So definitely worth checking out if you need a ghost controller. Moving over to the oven area. Now, the oven is an interesting one. So I needed an oven that I could get down in the shop here. I am in a basement, and there is no walkout from the basement. It is all underground with no stairs, nothing. So I had to figure something out. And I like the idea of like a professional convection oven. This is something we dealt with a lot when I was at my last job in research and development. We had ovens like this, and they're just a little bit more efficient. They don't have as many hot spots like you would with a traditional oven with like a coil. So I did like that idea. This one was 120 volt. Most of them are 240. So it was really nice to find one that's 120. I did have to upgrade the breaker though, because the 10 amp just kept popping. So I went with the 20. Haven't had a problem since. I think you can even see my yellow wire. I installed it myself. And I promise you, aside from the fact that the wire is not secured very well, it is safe. So, the oven, and it is big. I have not found a light yet that will not fit. It could fit both lights if I wanted to. I don't do both at the same time. I always just do one at a time. But it fits very well. Good size. I can fit quite a bit in there. I have been pretty happy with it. Moving over to a shelf here with a whole lot of stuff. A lot of parts, demonized, things like that all over it, as well as lights and other stuff that I get rid of periodically. And so this part is the order fulfillment station. When I get an order in, I come right over here. I've got my Samsung Tab 6 Lite, I think it is. Put whatever I need in the boxes. And you can see I have tons and tons of boxes. Lots and lots of boxes, tubes, mats. Quite a selection of blades there. Tape, label printer, that has become very handy. I do like that thing. Here's my dealer, as well as the anti-static bags there. A roll of bubble wrap, obviously that'll get replaced. And then just a whole lot of shipping supplies and things and patches. You can see I have a lot of patches. And then just random stuff up there. There's all my clamps, clamping lights shut, things like that. Next, 3D printer area. I've got 2 resin printers. This is a 4K, this is a 6K. I honestly, this does a better job. Elegoo, man, they do some really good stuff. So don't just buy a printer based on the K. the rating of the screen. This is a higher resolution screen. It should produce a higher quality product. This does a better job. I think the motors are a little bit underpowered on this. Sometimes it struggles. If you feel that plate, it's not great. So do your research. If you go resin, kind of get what you pay for. This was like $500. This was like $250, I think. It was 6K, so I figured it'd be better, but not so much. So keep that in mind. And then the cure station. I should have gone with the bigger one, but at the time they didn't have a bigger one. This was pretty much it. So I went with that one. It works for most of the stuff I'm doing. But yeah, resin. It's nasty, messy process, but the product, the end result looks really good. So definitely worth checking out if you're going 3D printing. Up next, Flash Forge dual color 3D printer. It has 2 heads in it, prints up to 2 colors, and that has come in handy a few times, as well as the fact that it's enclosed, so it prints really well. And then yeah, just more storage, just tons and tons of storage, spare parts, things like that. Then we come over here, there's our snack tray, because you know, you gotta have snacks, extra wiring, adapters, things like that, stuff that I might need. Then we come over to our tube station. I do keep all the tubes away from dust as best I can, and that works pretty well. That way they don't get, you know, completely coated in dust or anything while I'm working. Did you see my work area here? I have kind of encased myself in there. Now the nice thing is that with these, I can move them out of the way if I need to. They are adjustable in height if you needed to, but I keep them at that same level there. And I got my work mats on there, and it just makes life really easy. And I can do work over there if I need to, as well as a ton of parts and supplies. Gloves, rework station if I need it, tape, brackets, sanding discs, wiring. There's tons and tons of stuff. That little oven, those are great for acrylics if you need to mold plastic or soften it up and move it a little bit. It works well. The nice power 10 amp, I've been using that thing for years. It's held up great. Odd brand name, but it holds up really well. Come over to our blast cabinet, which obviously is rather important. Got the exhaust fan up top there to help clean out the area nicely, and the work area here for different cutting and things. I never use that thing. I probably should get rid of it, but I don't have another tool to put there, so I just leave it there. This I use a lot. That I use a fair amount. This I use a fair amount. So I would say most of the tools get used quite frequently. That not so much. And as you can tell, that is my epoxy workstation. I totally should have put something down to keep it clean, but I don't really care because I'll throw away the table if that were the case that I ever needed to. But you know, I use it, so I probably won't. TV there, as you know, when you practically live here in the shop, having TV occasionally is nice. And security cameras, because keeping track of when those packages come in is kind of important. As well as obviously storage. Here are rigid strips, many different varieties. Fire extinguisher, always want to have one of those. There's a lot of layers to this shop. There's more storage down below. I probably missed more alcohol, not the drinking kind. And then yeah, over here, so I mean, obviously on the setup here, I do have a power supply, my ultrasonic cutter, which I have another one over there as well, so I got one in both places. Soldering iron, which I have one in both places. And a computer, printer. That blue box is the CNC machine. My Cricut, a whole bunch of vinyl, tapes up top, just a whole lot of stuff in there. So that gives you an idea of the shop area for the most part. Now we'll move into the majority of the inventory, which is actually over here in the hallway. Now, this is a little bit tight in here, but I'm not a huge person, so I fit pretty well. As you can see, just a buttload of extensions here. Coming into here, as you can see, I have a little clear front dispensing kind of system for shrouds, which makes it a little bit easier to store and easier to grab and easier to see how my inventory is and fill up if I need to order more, things like that. And it works pretty well. So if you need shrouds, check out our website. As well as bins for most of the parts. And you know, I struggled with ideas of how to go about this. Part of it was cost. Part of it was just maximizing the space and how I did it. I didn't want to do a bunch of stacking plastic bins throughout the hallway. I wanted something more like a shelving system, but easier to store things. So, you know, I can just pull that out, grab whatever I need, shove it right back in. It works really well. I can also grab that, carry it somewhere if I need to. It works really well. So more boxes, more boxes, more boxes. That's basically most of the inventory here is just tons and tons of boxes. Oh, and another fire extinguisher, because my insurance company told me I had to have a big one. Hopefully I never have to use it, but it's there. This though is the paint room. Doing what we do, you have to paint kind of year round, you know, and you need to be able to paint when you can. So rain, outdoors, things like that, it's not quite ideal, you know, so you got to do what you got to do. If you got to paint outside, you got to paint outside. But I was lucky enough to be able to have a unfinished half bath down here that I was able to convert into my paint room. I use the lab coat and the mask when I'm doing any the spray gun painting stuff, and you see Nason paints and all that jazz, and a ton of the 3Ms. I do like the 3M because it is quicker and a lot easier to do, and it still gets a good result. It still looks great. And as you can see, I do have an exhaust fan. Now, it's not necessarily like paint rated, like explosion proof, but it moves like 900 CFMs of air or something crazy like that. It does a very good job at cleaning this room out of any paint fumes efficiently and fast. I do have a heat lamp there. That heat lamp is pretty stinking nice. I mean, it makes the drying of the paint far more efficient and faster. And I do have a rattle can paint mixing station. Now, you probably have seen the video on that. Maybe you haven't. I do have one on there and how I made it. It works. It's a little goofy, but it works. It's gonna shake better than my arm ever could. And the lighting, just having that light back there, it shines just perfect on the part. So you can see any areas, you can see the part really well, really clear. It works well. I like it. And then underneath that table, we do have a water jet. And that is a countertop that I bought and cut and made so that it could be lifted up and used. But the water jet, very nice. Big thing about the water jet, you have to have water. You have to have a running water line and you have to have a drain. And once again, I said this is a half bath. So as you can see, it's perfect. I got the drain right there. The water line was very easy to tap in, as you can see. This is perfect. Perfect spot. Plus, it can get a little bit of a loud machine. So having it over here versus in the main shop area is nice, and it works out quite well. So there you go. That's the shop. This is where most of it happens, and it is nice too. I told you guys I would try to get a tour done of the shop because I know you guys are probably curious, and I know some of you guys are probably underwhelmed. You probably thought this was some multi-million-dollar factory with tons of employees and a ton of stuff going on. I mean, I'm just one guy that's trying to do the best that I can to bring you guys the best stuff. I appreciate the heck out of all you guys for supporting me on this journey. If you appreciate the stuff that we're doing, let me know. Tell me what you want me to do. Tell me what you want me to knock out for you. Things like the PC build, that was kind of the start, house lighting and different projects and things like that, I think are interesting and great ways to add more content to the channel, but in a way that's not repetitive. I don't want to just keep doing the same videos over and over again for lighting and stuff. I want to bring value to you guys in what I do content wise and things like that. So lots of car stuff, lots of other not car stuff too. I got SEMA next week. Video footage should be coming. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, nextlevelneo.com. All your lighting needs. Check it out. Thanks for watching.